What is going on, good people of the interwebs? So my hope for this video is that you will learn some good strategies for using the toxic trapper Caustic in the newest battle royale shooter Apex Legends. Keep in mind these are what I consider useful tactics that if you can master, you will be a better Caustic player, but they are by no means perfect strategies. So Caustic can have 6 traps set at any given time. The first 3 you can set right away, but then you'll have to wait for the other 3 to cool down. Once you place that 7th trap, the first one will disappear. This means that you should be generous with your traps. Too many times I see people playing Caustic and barely setting any traps, so that leads to the questions: where and when do I place my traps if I want to be a good Caustic player? So before we get started on some of the strategies we'll go over in this video, I wanted to say thank you to everyone watching, and if you enjoy this video, make sure you click the subscribe button to see more videos just like this, and also click that bell icon because I do a lot of live streaming on the channel, and that way you'll know right when I go live. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's get this video started. So strategy number 1 I like to call triangle gas traps. It's pretty self-explanatory. In a 3 versus 3 gunfight, your job should be to hold an area. To do this, you need to place 3 traps, usually in a triangle, leaving whoever walks into the triangle of traps to deal with the gas. And if you have your ultimate ready, you should throw your grenade in the middle or around the triangle, depending on where your enemy is at. So strategy number 2 I call access denied, kind of. This strategy should be used when you have a bit more leisure time, about mid-game when you have some pretty decent loot and you're safely in or near the next ring. So by placing traps near the doors, you will have the ability to block any enemies from opening the door and interrupting your looting sesh. So since you have 6 traps, you can block up to 6 doors at a time. If you leave one door left without a trap, the enemy is likely to walk into a building full of traps and hopefully can't get out, especially if you camp next to the unblocked door they came in from. Now when using this strategy, it is crucial to camp in a good spot. You can see in this clip, for example, I had all my traps set, but because of where I was camping, the strategy flat out failed when this lifeline saw me and the nearest trap was too late and didn't do anything for me. However, I tried this strategy in the next game, and you can see that this Bangalore was left not only dazed and confused, but was also unable to escape the house quick enough to live, or at least get knocked down. And keep in mind, I was in a panic when I did this. I didn't actually expect this strategy to work that well, so what I should have done was shut the door and placed another bomb directly on it. But what can you do? This is my first time trying this strategy. Alright, moving on to strategy number 3. This one I call breadcrumbs. So to me this one works best when it's early in the game and you're just following around your squad in the field. This strategy works if you're running uphill. Place 3 traps close to the wall, somewhat spread apart, and if you run into someone at the top of the hill, they already have the high ground and the advantage, but not necessarily if you turn around and slide down the hill back to the 3 traps you already placed. This way, if they follow you down the hill, they'll get wrecked by the Nox gas, and hopefully you will have your ultimate ready to drop near the traps for even more gas coverage. Admittedly, this strategy is easier said than done, but after some practice, it can really help if you can master it. And I admit, if I had better aim, I probably could have taken on that Bangalore, but as you can see, she was affected by the gas, and I think if that Pathfinder helped out a bit more, we wouldn't have gotten so wrecked. Alright, moving on to strategy number 4. I call it the lure and camp the high ground. Now most of these are just self-explanatory. So I like to try this one around mid-game when you have a decent amount of loot and you just have a wide area that you want to camp in till the next ring closes. You'll also want a sniper rifle, and possibly some grenades could be useful for this one. So contrary to how I see a lot of people playing Caustic, he is a defense character, and since he specializes in area control, this strategy works well in the area between the Cascades and the wetlands. I've got 2 examples of this setup. This area is perfect for luring because there are a ton of bushes to hide your traps in. So the idea is to get your traps set pretty widespread and then go to the high platforms near the area where you can camp and snipe anyone who wanders near your gas bombs. When I attempted this, my squad of randoms was all in and called in some care packages to help. So if the enemy walks into a trap, you should have ample opportunity to do serious damage, and from such a far distance, they most likely won't see where you're shooting from. Unfortunately, I couldn't capture this one in action with enemies falling into the trap, but I recommend trying this strategy out and letting me know how well it worked. So this is just another example of this strategy. This is a fantastic spot. I also wanted to show everyone this spot because it is really good. So I actually threw all these traps down from the position I'm in right now, and this is why you want to have some decent loot on you, because you're going to be up camping. You want health, you want shields, and of course a good sniper rifle. Now the G7 isn't particularly my favorite sniper, but if you get something with a good scope on it, you can see how this could be a pretty good strategy if somebody happens to walk into your traps. Alright, so this strategy does not have a name. This one's more like just throw traps randomly and hope for the best. But what I like about this clip is that it shows how bad my accuracy is, yes, but it also shows how much I rely on my traps as a Caustic main as of right now. So you can see this guy enters the ship and he tries to attack my teammate, and I miss him like 500 times, but my gas trap goes off and finishes him off. Alright, we are moving right into strategy number 5. This one's called Traps from Above. Now this one is really specific. This is when you need to rescue both of your downed squad mates, and you have the high ground and there's enemies all over their death boxes. So you want to just drop 3 traps near the death boxes if that's possible. Caustic can be super efficient at rescuing those squad banners in this scenario. And also, if you have your ultimate ability ready, you should throw it right next to the death boxes as well while you run in and grab their banners. So you can actually see in this scenario, I might back this up a bit, there was somebody right next to the death box, but as soon as I popped the gas ultimate, he actually closed the door and retreated away from the death box of my squad mate, enabling me to grab that and respawn them. Alright, so moving on to strategy number 6. My girlfriend and I like to call this one the Hansel and Gretel, or exploiting people's loot greed. This one is most definitely the hardest to pull off. I recommend trying this early in the game. The idea is to gather as much loot as possible with an emphasis on finding the best backpack you possibly can, and also picking up a few purple or yellow items that you don't need. Hopefully once you have a good backpack and some loot, you're going to apply strategy number 2, the access denied kind of, but this time you're going to add a little spice into the mix. Take those purple and yellow items you gathered up earlier and drop them right in front of whatever door you haven't denied access to, and wait for the next greedy looter to come along and go for the shinies that you have laid out. Once they go for it, it's game on. I would also say if you're brave, you could take some extra time to drop a trail of items leading into the house, but even I have to wonder if this will work with copious amounts of loot laying around. I mean, wouldn't you suspect something with a giant ass pile of loot sitting there? This is why you should only sprinkle some items, but I'm sure you get the idea, the Hansel and Gretel. So if you go on the internet, you can find a lot of maps that will show you specifically where there is good loot to go loot at for this strategy. So I recommend that. I use them all the time. They are extremely helpful. And to everyone who's watching this, I really think it would be awesome if you tried this strategy, especially with a whole squad to help. And let me know or record it and send it to me. I would love to see it because this was a really hard one to pull off and requires even more camping than I feel comfortable with. I tried it 3 times and not one bite. So by all means, Hansel and Gretel the shit out of someone and let me know in the comments. So there you have it, everybody. Those are my strategies for using Caustic the most efficiently as you can. So he should be played like Symmetra if you played Overwatch, and for those of you that don't, I'm sorry, but yeah, he's area control and he's a defensive legend. And in my opinion, as far as who he pairs up well with, like what other legends play well with him and are compatible with his traps and whatnot, I like Bloodhound and Lifeline, and Bangalore's also really good to have on your side. Just real quick, here's an example of what Bloodhound can do if you have him on your side. Here we are in the bunker, and I set a trap, and he revealed those 2 enemies, and it just worked really well, because I was able to just pop traps, Lifeline and Bloodhound got in there, and yeah, we just killed the whole squad, and it worked out fantastically. So that's just an example of how he can be invaluable with that vision. By the way, this is something that I forgot to mention. Caustic's traps, actually, you can deactivate them. The red bottom, if you shoot that, it'll completely negate the trap and no gas will emanate from it whatsoever. If you shoot the top black part, then that's when you get the gas, but it's just a little tidbit that most people I don't think know yet. That about does it for me, everybody. It has been my pleasure, and I can't express how thankful I am for everyone who watched this video. Again, if you enjoyed it, click the subscribe button and drop a like if it helped you gain some new Caustic knowledge. That said, I am out, everybody, and I will see you soon. Peace. This video's comment shoutout goes to Kashaku3. This was such a cool game. I miss my PSP. I know how you feel. Thanks for commenting on my video. I really appreciate it.